Hey everybody! Today we're going to talk about American expressions and words that make no sense here in England. I have not heard anybody in England use this phrase at all, and it is something that we use in America all the time. So shooting the breeze means chit chat. I think the English equivalent would probably be like chin wag. You're basically just having a conversation. It's fairly benign. It's nothing it's not on a particularly deep topic. It's very basic, very kind of, gosh, I can't think of any word to describe it other than chit chat. I guess it would be how British people or English people talk about the weather or the traffic. It would be that kind of thing. Hey, how's it going? We're just going to kind of catch up, and it's usually not any real deep conversation or anything that's on a specific topic. It's usually just kind of a catch up. This is something that's used constantly in America, almost to like a cringy, nauseating kind of point. Now it's a little bit it's just lost its luster a bit. I think, in my opinion, I think Americans have overused this. It's not very funny anymore. So typical banker's hours is what the equivalent would be here in England. It's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, that kind of job. And hump day is usually referred to as Wednesday because it's the middle of the week and you've kind of gotten over the beginning of the week, you've gotten over the hump, and now it's just downhill from here, easy sailing to get to the weekend and to get a little bit of a break. But you never hear anyone in England say happy hump day or yay, it's hump day or anything like that. So y'all is basically just a combination of you all. You guys, we use that a lot in New Jersey. I don't know if that's a universal thing or not, but I know we use it a lot in the Northeast. It typically comes from a Southern background. So anybody that's in the American South, the Southeast particularly, you'll probably use y'all. Texas, people in Texas definitely use y'all a lot. It just kind of encompasses a big group of people, like a universal you, but it confuses the hell out of a lot of people here in England. They don't really understand what it means. I think they can kind of guess what it means, but it's definitely not something that English people would use on a regular basis. I still use it because I went to school in West Virginia and a lot of people in West Virginia saw it and I just picked it up. And even people in the Northeast and family members and friends make fun of me, but I just can't help it. It's just something that I've picked up that I'm going to continue to use. And now when I use it here in England, most people give me a little bit of a, did you just say y'all? This is one of those words that I use all the time because that's what I was brought up using and describing as athletic shoes. And every single time that I say it, someone has something to say about it. They make fun of me, they laugh, they have some snarky comment back. Trying to figure out what I'm talking about, even though I know they probably know because of American translated television and advertisements and music and that kind of stuff. But for those of you who aren't familiar, sneakers in England actually are referred to as trainers, and shoes in general are referred to as boots. I think it's probably trickled down from Victorian times and things like that, where everybody just wore boots, and then maybe people who played sports and stuff used like training shoes. I'm not 100% sure about that, and I haven't had a chance to look it up. But if you guys do know, or you have any kind of suggestions or any thoughts on where you think it might be, let me know in the description box below.
Hey everybody, I said description box, but I meant the comment section.
No idea why Americans call it sneakers, but I definitely still use sneakers, and I probably will until I die, because trainers it doesn't roll off my tongue as easily. So I'm going to be made fun of for the rest of my life for that, but I don't mind. Sneakers is going to be the word, no matter what. So in America, bangs are like pieces of hair that kind of cover your forehead like that. And I know in England, they call it fringe. But it's something where I say bangs most of the time. People, again, it's like when I say sneakers, most of the time an English person will say, I have no idea what you're talking about. Even if they do, just to kind of put me on the spot. I kind of understand why they call it fringe, because it does remind me a little bit of like the fringe you would have on a bedspread or a curtain or something like that. So I can see the equivalent of that. I have no clue, again, why Americans call it bangs or anything else. And I've never heard any other word for it besides bangs versus fringe in England. But if you guys call it something different, I definitely want to learn about that. And if you know why it's either called fringe in England or bangs in America, I'm interested in that story as well. So for those of you who are not familiar, this comes from an American football term. And the leader on the field or pitch in American football is called the quarterback. They're usually the person calling the plays. They're the ones that say hike, hike, and they throw the ball or they run the ball. So typically, the game of American football was played on Sundays. And so Monday morning you would go to work and you talk about the game, how the game should have been played. And that's called Monday morning quarterbacking. It's primarily used with any kind of event or any kind of situation where you think you could have done it better, but you're only talking about it after the fact. Person could have done that project differently. They could have done this, and this. I would have had this person on my team. That's Monday morning quarterbacking. It's already done and dusted. There's really no effect that the conversation will have on the game at all, but you still feel the need to put your 2 cents in and have the conversation. Monday morning quarterbacking. So in America, we have elementary school, which is equivalent to your primary school. And we have high school, which is equivalent to your senior school. But in America, we have a school in between that's called middle school, or sometimes it's called junior high. It's junior high school. You don't have that here in England. You go right from primary school into senior school, and that would be the equivalent of going right from elementary school into high school in America. So whenever I talk about, oh, I was in junior high when that happened, or I remember taking the bus to my junior high school or my middle school, people don't get what I'm talking about here in England at all. Even if they've heard of it, they're like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot you have that kind of middle of the school system kind of thing. And they don't really understand. So blinkers in America are the lights on your car that flash when you're about to turn left or right while you're driving. In England, they're just referred to as turn signals. But I know that blinkers are not used here in driving in England. And I remember saying to someone that I was do I use my blinker here or something like that when I'm learning? And they didn't understand what I was saying. Another expression that came up while I'm learning how to drive is, in America, we say make a right here or make a left here. And in England, they just say turn right or turn left. And it really gets under their skin for some reason. I'm not 100% sure why, because to me, it just means the same thing and it just translated in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's what it means. But yeah, I just have to make this turn. But for some reason, English people, it really winds them up. They think it's overly complicated, or that we're trying to insinuate we have to build the turn. I don't really get it. It's one of those things that gets under English people's skin that I actually use sometimes just to wind them up. Just to get back at them for all of the sneakers behind the 8 ball, y'all, all those looks that I get from that. It's the little things in life. Now, touch base is something that we use in everyday language all the time. You say, oh, let me just touch base with this person and I'll get back to you. I guess the equivalent would be, let me just reach out to that person, or let me just make contact with that person, and, we'll reconvene at a later date. That's really what it means. It actually comes from baseball, meaning that you have to touch the base, because there's 4 bases in baseball, for those of you who don't know: first, second, third, and home plate. And if you're on the base, that means you're safe. That means you can't be called out. You can't be tagged out in any way. I'm not explaining that well. I'm not a baseball scholar. I should be because I've grown up watching it, but that's basically what it means. So touch base means let's get safe. Let's just double check. Let's go back to base, go back to home plate, regroup a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll reconvene, see where we are. So touch base really just means let's just check in with someone and see how it's going. The last one is one of my favorites. No doubt, every single time I say it, everybody in England looks at me funny, and I understand why completely, and it is one of the fun ones. Blowing me off. No, I have a very dirty mind, so I completely understand what they're thinking when I say it. And it is a very dirty expression when you think about it. But in America, it means just ignoring them, ghosting them, and basically, acting like, that's okay, no big deal. We'll just ignore that and we'll move on. Obviously, the connotation that comes with it is much more sexual, and most people in England will go there first. I don't know that anyone in England uses that expression. At least no one I've encountered has used that expression. And every time that I say it, which is often, because it's just part of my vernacular, I do get very, very giggly, kind of blushy kind of reactions to it. Especially when I use it at work, which is really funny because here it's a much more casual work environment and people make sexual connotations all the time. But I guess because it's something that's not prevalent in English culture, that kind of throws them off a little bit and puts them in a little bit of an uncomfortable state. Blowing me off, yeah. I'm just going to leave you guys with that. Take care.